rough. But I would cry for days if I had to get rid of the Olympus, the Wittenauer, all my other absolute favorite watches. So of course, I'm keeping the Pole Router. This watch is just absolutely brilliant, and if there was any watch that was 100% my style, that would be the Pole Router. The next two questions come from Urologue. Man, I hope that was right. Urologe? Something like that. These are great questions. Question number one, what's your favorite brand or model without price limit? As far as brands go, for some reason I always love Patek Philippe. I think it's the super dressiness of a lot of their designs. So as far as brands go, if I had the money and they had a small enough piece for me, I would absolutely go for a Patek. As far as individual models, if price was no concern, I would absolutely go for the Cartier Cintre. Oh, those are amazing. Question number two. What's your favorite brand or model by best value for money? That one's a little bit tougher because there's a few. Christopher Ward is absolutely amazing. At one point, I owned 3 of their watches. Brilliant. However, Smith's is also phenomenal, and the prices are pretty decent for those pieces as well. The Everest is just absolutely amazing, and unless you buy it from a flipper, they aren't too expensive. As far as individual watch models, as a best value piece, I am still absolutely amazed at the Seagull. So crazy. This was what, $200, and it absolutely is like owning a $500-$600 watch. Amazing. The next two questions are from Merly on Time. Question number one, how late at night and why late at night for most of your videos? Pretty late at night. I usually start at around midnight and force myself to stop editing by around 2:30 or 3. The filming, somewhere around midnight or 1. And why late at night? When I originally started this channel, I figured I didn't want to bother the family, so I was going to wait till everyone's asleep and then do all my videos. And then it just kind of became a thing. And question number two, what is your favorite watch in the collection? My answer to that, of course, is definitely the Pole Router. Absolutely amazing. By far my favorite watch that I own. The next question is from Billy O'Malley. And I actually answered this in the comments to my previous video where I announced this one, but I'll discuss it here. The question, do you have a recommendation for a 34 to 36 millimeter field or pilot watch, mechanical or sweeping quartz, not automatic? I have this request from a good friend with a slender wrist for a gift. I've been going through your videos and currently looking at watches of remembrance and Hamilton Khaki Pilot Pioneer Aviation, but anything else you would recommend looking at, thank you. At that time, I recommended either the Smith's PRS, which is just amazing, and as you can see, I was actually wearing it just the other day. And even though it doesn't have a sweeping seconds hand, the CWC is so great. Also, some of the Marathon general purpose pieces are really cool, and some of them come in at smaller sizes. Alright, the next cluster of questions came in from Oscar Gustavo Arcos Ruiz. Okay, here we go. Question number one, why the hat? Now that's a story. I've always worn hats as far as I can remember. Just as a kid, I wore hats, all kinds of weird hats. I've always had a closet full of hats. And I went through a phase where I was wearing pork pies for a while, and I took a trip with my brother and his wife and my wife to Vegas, and we were planning on getting all dressed up and hitting a cocktail bar one of the nights that we were there. And I wanted to bring a hat, but I didn't really know what I could wear with my suit, because at that time all I had were pork pies and stuff. I ended up bringing this crumpleable pork pie that I had and flipping the front down, and I just really liked the way it looked. So as soon as I got home, I picked up some bucket hats, and I've been wearing those style of hats ever since. Next question. Do you like jazz? I do like jazz, but am I a jazz aficionado? Not at all. So I know what I like to hear. Do I know who I'm listening to? Not always. And not shockingly, My favorite jazz is the mid-century stuff. The next question. Late at night, you talk about watches, but what do you do in the day? I sit in front of computer screens and write SQL queries and C# code. What is the watch you most regret having bought and why? I actually regret buying my Dan Henry. When I saw this watch, it looked nothing like I expected it. And that's not a knock on Dan Henry, this is a brilliant watch, but it looks gigantic. So if you're looking for a 38mm watch that wears like a 41, this is your watch. But when I got this, I was actually bummed for a couple weeks. I was hoping for something that kind of felt speedy-ish, even though it doesn't look like a Speedmaster, but yeah. This one kind of put me in a bad mood. So for a couple weeks I was just bummed out and really didn't feel like wearing anything, so I just wore the CWC every day. But am I going to get rid of this watch? I don't think so. I think I might end up wearing it at some point, but the shock when I first got it really had me bummed out. And at that point in time, I probably shouldn't have been spending any money. I was trying to build up my account. The next question, what is the watch you most regret having sold and why? I actually don't regret any of the watches that I've sold. There were good reasons for me to do that, but there are watches that I've sold that I'm sad about. And a bit ago, I actually considered repurchasing the Baltic because it looks gorgeous every time I see an ad for them. I'm also really sad that I got rid of my Malvern because that watch is so rare, and at that time I had no idea that Christopher Ward was gonna pretty much abandon dress watches. They had a decent dress watch line at that time, but have since gone just full sports. And that was a great looking watch. But I just didn't wear it because my other dress watches were a bit smaller, and I just always went for those. When will you show us another State of the Collection? I did a State of a Collection at the beginning of the year, and I was planning on doing it annually, so perhaps in a few months. The next question, whiskey or vodka? Scotch. But I do like whiskey, I do like scotch, I do like rum. Pretty much anything neat or in a cocktail sounds good to me. What is your opinion of homage watches? I actually kind of like homage watches because a lot of times they're doing an homage to pieces that are just impossible to get. I like homages to like old mill sub style watches. I mean, you're never gonna find those combinations from Rolex ever again. And if a piece really isn't your grail, but you like the aesthetics, it's cool to have the option of a more attainable homage piece. Case in point, the Everest. I love the Explorer aesthetic, but the Explorer really isn't a grail watch for me. I mean, it might be in the future at some point, but I just wanted a piece with the aesthetics. I knew I wasn't going to wear it a ton, but it's really cool to have it here when I'm in the mood. And actually, I have an homage watch that should be here around September. In your opinion, which is the most underestimated watch company? I think my answer to that would be Certina. That's a brand that you don't really see or hear a whole lot about, but having owned one, they're absolutely brilliant. And their pieces look pretty decent too. King Kong or Godzilla? I think for sheer entertainment and hilarity value, Godzilla for sure. But King Kong is always saving the cute ladies, so that's a tough one. The last two questions come from JP Davis. Could have been cast in Play Misty late night FM 60s DJ scene. Are you familiar with the soundtrack from In the Mood for Love, a masterpiece art film by Wong Kar-wai? Talk about style and nuance. I have actually seen that movie, but I believe it was before I had this channel and I was multitasking, so I was probably coding something weird super late at night. Amazing looking movie, but I'm going to have to revisit it because I don't recall the soundtrack. I'll have to follow up after I do though. That was a beautiful movie. And the second question, do you visit vintage street fairs? Watch buying opportunities often there? I don't. That is a brilliant idea. I better start looking up vintage street fairs. So there you have it, all the questions that you submitted and my answers to them. Thanks so much for sending those questions. It was super fun pondering those and answering them. I'll have to do another one maybe when the channel hits 2,000 subscribers. That way all the new subscribers can ask me their questions. Thanks for watching.